This week, there was also another remarkable story. Al Jazeera published a documentary. Again, I'm reporting on the 30th of January. The Qassam footage was released by Al Jazeera on Friday, the 24th. It was a documentary on the program What is Hidden is Greater, and it was a remarkable documentary. If we look at the maps here, we're going to just show you where we're talking about here. Map 20A is the full Gaza map to give you a sense of what we've been talking about up until now. In the north, Beit Hanun. In the far northeast is where we just covered, and going all the way down to the far southwest, that's Tel Sultan. In Rafah, you can see in the zoom in there, Tel Sultan touches on the Philadelphia corridor. This was the other strategic corridor that Netanyahu, when he realized he wasn't going to defeat Qassam, he was going to hold this corridor and block people's access to it. But under the prisoner exchange deal, after today's exchange, the Rafah crossing is supposed to open, and it will open for wounded patients and allow 50 wounded fighters on top of the civilians to exit through Rafah for much needed, desperately needed medical attention that has been denied since May 7th, when Israel sealed off the Philadelphia corridor and took the Rafah crossing. So this is the remarkable footage, number 21, that I brought for you from this documentary. We're going to watch Qassam's top leader, Yahya Sinwar. Here he is covered in a blanket, walking through the devastation of Tel Sultan. He's walking up here to meet with the commander of the Tel Sultan battalion, where you can see just the utter devastation. But here you see, in a tactical vest, Yahya Sinwar, who Israel said was in a tunnel surrounded by captives, which all the captives have said is not true. He visited them on the first day, asked if they were well, said they would be taken care of, and said the civilians would be returned home the next day. He told them that in Hebrew, which he learned in prison, where he was the prison leader as well. He's also, you can see there, that is the Israeli military kicking up dust, driving, I don't know, what is that, 100 meters in front of him. That's Mahmoud Hamdan, the Tel Sultan battalion commander for the Qassam brigades. And Sinwar is on the front lines here, looking at battle plans. And that was something that when he was killed, we wondered immediately, does that mean there's going to be footage of Sinwar actually commanding operations? And this is the answer to it. Qassam released this footage to Al Jazeera. It was shown on Friday in the documentary on the program What is Hidden is Greater. There you see him on the front lines. That school is an Israeli military position. He is 125 meters away from the Israeli position along the border. So just really remarkable footage of a commander on the front lines. A couple of things that Sinwar said when he was released from prison in the Gilad Shalit exchange in 2011. He said, they thought prison was our graveyard, but it was our academy. And he also said when he got back into Gaza and put his feet on the ground in Gaza, he said, I will take my place among the fighters of the Qassam brigades. So mission accomplished. He also once jokingly said to a TV interview, he said, I don't like wearing this suit. They forced it on me. I prefer to wear a tactical vest. So he did that as well. So remarkable footage. And then 21B, this is what he said. This is the poem that Nora was talking about. The direct literal translation in English doesn't work too well. It's a beautiful poem by Ahmed Shawki, who is the Prince of Poets, Egyptian poet laureate. Some people say founder of modern Arabic poetry. And Sinwar is quoting this line as he walks up to the camera. And I've done a tafsir, not a direct translation, not a literal translation, but in essence, what he's saying in this quote is, in front of true victory stands a closed door, pushed a little more open by every hand bloodied in the struggle for freedom. And that is the line that he walks up. Sinwar's got the poem in his head. Sinwar was an avid reader. All the Israeli intelligence talked about how he just devoured all books when he was in prison, led the library, taught the prisoners. And so it's just a remarkable moment to see him walk up and give that line. And it's not just the sentiment in the poem. It's difficult to translate poems, especially super beautiful poems, and especially in a language like Arabic that English fails almost at every turn. But it's not just about fighters, it's about the civilians too. And so I think that in essence, that's what he's saying. In front of true victory stands a closed door, pushed a little more open by every hand bloodied in the struggle for freedom. So a remarkable statement from the front lines of the battle in Gaza by the leader of the battle, the strategic leader who was released in a prisoner exchange, as we're watching prisoner exchanges happen right now. If we look at 21C, you can see him here with Mahmoud Hamdan. Sinwar also had with him the Glock that was captured from the Israelis in the critical 2018 counterintelligence. The Qassam foiled a clandestine operation by the Israelis that sent in special forces to try to tap the tunnel telephone line that we've seen be used all throughout this war as mission critical for the reason that Qassam is able to operate for these 16 months. The reason why they have had command and control for these 16 months is because of the tunnel telephone network. Israel in 2018 tried to come in and tap it, and they were caught. They were outed by Qassam security and interrogated, and their gun was captured. And there was a shootout. Several people were killed, and one of the Israelis was killed, and his gun was taken. So Sinwar was holding the gun when he was killed of the Israeli special forces soldier who as part of the 2018 raid. So very, very symbolic, very notable fact that they have captured weapons and they're showing them and using those captured weapons. And this is, like I said, this is Mahmoud Hamdan, Tel Sultan Battalion Commander. And I'll show you something about him in a moment. But first, let's look at 22D, which is just showing Sinwar right on the front lines. He's in his tactical vest. He's got his captured weapon, and he's commanding operations. He's not in a tunnel. He's not hiding. He's out in front. And so all those suggestions by the Israelis in their architecture of lies that has been underpinning this entire war, this was remarkable footage to see. And if we look at the next one, this is where the Israelis boast of having assassinated Mahmoud Hamdan when they do these eliminated posters. And these are almost always have been absurd. These posters, we saw the one I showed you last week on the show for Abu Hamza Hassan Fayyad in Beit Hanun, the Beit Hanun battalion commander who was not killed. But some of them have been ridiculous. Like they used one photo and said that they eliminated a senior Qassam commander, and the photo was of a famous Egyptian journalist who's like the head of the Egyptian journalist syndicate, who's well known in Egypt, and that was a mockery of the Israeli military's architecture of lies right from the first moments of October 7th, justifying their successes, framing their failures as some kind of subhuman brutality in order to justify the genocide that this week, more than any other week of this war, was proven to be a failure. From the prisoner exchange, the terms of the prisoner exchange are the terms that Qassam demanded. The end of the aggression, the withdrawal from the corridors, the return to the north, those were the key demands by Qassam throughout the negotiations that they refused to give in on. Israel's key demands or key objectives of the war were to return the captives through violence. That failed. Destroy Qassam. That failed. Destroy the government. We saw that today and the last several days, that the government is functioning in Gaza. And that number 4 for Israel was that Gaza was no longer a threat to them after total defeat of Hamas. And Netanyahu even went further and said the idea of Hamas would be defeated for generations to come. Nothing could be further from the truth. We saw this week Palestinians in victory returning home to the north where they will rebuild, and the failure of every single military objective of the Israelis. So that is the resistance report for this week, a monumental week after an incredible 480 2 days that we've been watching this battle.